So we were good to we were in the middle of a sugya, the sugya of Zaken Mamre, and we had a pasuk, and we broke down in the pasuk. Actually, here was the pasuk. You see a pasuk? Ki poimcha dava la mishpat. So we broke down Mimcha, Dava, Mishpat, Dam Ladam, Din Ladin, Nega Lanega, a whole bunch of different things. A whole bunch of different things. And what were those different things? This. You see the chart, not the pasuk? Yeah? Good. So we said, for example, Yayetz was regarding Ibashana, that if your Ma'abed Shana, if the Zakei Mami doesn't listen, excuse me, Reb Meir said, we had Machloikis, what does it have to be? Reb Meir said it has to be in a din of Karis, that it has shaykhis to Karis. If it's not shaykhis to Karis, if he rebels against a psak, right, then it's not part of Zakei Mami. So we had Reb Yehuda's opinion, Divrei Seifrim, to explain the Gemara, and if Shimon's called to any different thing. Like Reb Meir, we had a problem. How do you fit in this pasuk every single possibility of karis? So the first one was, these are the ones we did so far. Yayitz referred to Ibishana. If they had a machloikis, when exactly you're going to go ahead and make Adar, right? If he would argue on them before Purim, after Purim, it would end up they eating chametz and Pesach, and chametz, according to his cheshbon, that would be karis. Dava meant Allah al Moshe Sinai, and that we said regarding the 10th day of a zava. Is the 10th day, do you view it like the 11th day or the 9th day? If you view it like the 9th day, you'll have to be shemeres yom keneged yom, because it's 9, 10, 11. If you view it as the 11th day, then what? You wouldn't be shemeres yom keneged yom. So if he would pass in one way, because in this the chorus, mishpat was din, bitem and usasai. We had a limit for that. If he would paskin that bitam and usasa is a chi of sreifa, and he would say it's not asa, that would be a chi of karas as well. We said dam ledam. Which dam? Dam nida, dam leda, dam ziva. Nida, we said green blood. According to akavia, it's tamei. According to chum, it's tar. If you paskin like a kavya and you count 3 days, start counting from that time. Sees blood on the 2 days after that. But 1 second, within the 7-day period, you were tahar, because you had from a kavya, but really we don't pass like a kavya, and therefore that can create a chi of karis. The man's with his wife. We said dam leda. We said 14 is tamei, 15 is tahar, right? If it goes from 14th to the 15th. Question: what happens if it never stops? So if you pass in like one tube, then it's mutter, because it's the same dam. The only question is the chum said it's mutter, chum said it's asa. If you pass like Levi, since it never stopped, obviously it's going to be dam tamei. That could lead to a man being with his wife, which create a chi of karis, because this is dam tahar. That was dam leda, dam ziva. We spoke about a woman who's having labor pains, and exactly when she gives it stops, the labor pains stop. Was the 3-day she saw blood in the 3-day period of the labor pains? Is now she considered yoledis bezov when she has to bring 2 karbanis or 1 carbon? That leads to a chi of karis. Din ledin, din nefashis, din imamis, din imakis. Din ledin was mechaven lahara gezeh v'hara gezeh. Din imamis is bezdin of shnayim with 2 or 3. Again, these all or 3 or 23. They can lead to a chi of karis. And now we're going to do the following. We're going to go bein nega lenega, 3 cases of negayim. Nigay Adam, Nigay Batim, Nigay Begadim. The Varai is Charamim, Erchin, and Hegdeshos. Revoice is going to be Saita, Egla, Mitzayra, and Arufa, and Shurech is going to be Leka Shechum Peya. Now, how is the Issachar over here? Mitzayra is Tameh. If they walk into the base of Migdash Tameh, then it's a Chi of Karis. So if he argues in one of these things, it's going to lead to that. Where's the chi of karis by charamim erchin ekdeishos? I'm giving you a heads up. Is, let's say he paskins that the money is kodesh, and really the money is chayil, and you mekadesh a woman with that money, so it will be good kedushin. If you mekadesh with hegdish money, it's not good kedushin. Therefore, if he would paskin, it's not good kedushin, and she would mekadesh with another man, and the halacha was like the chacham that the previous kedushin was a good kedushin, it'll lead to a chiyav kares. So this chachamim erken hekdeshos is dinei mamanis, that you're going to use the money for a kedushin. If it's hegdish money, it's not a good kedushin. If it's not hegdish money, it is good kedushin, which could possibly lead to a chiyav kares if you're going to dissolve the first marriage. The same thing with the saita, regarding the saita and the ksuba, whether we're going to see the case. I will do the Rashi inside on that. Egla rufa is in Kaddish, whether it has a din of Egla rufa or not. If you Kaddish Meisha with an Egla rufa, if it's an Egla rufa, it's not a good kedushin. If it's not an Egla rufa, it is good kedushin. So Bez Hashem, we'll see all these cases, and all the latter cases have dinei mominus. The cases of Negoyim all have an aspect of possibly going to the Beis Hamikdash when you are tamei. So we're up to Pei Zayin Amid Beis. Pei Zayin Amid Beis, right before the lines get thick, about 5 lines up. Bein nega lenega, bein negoyi adam negoyi batim negoyi begadim. Negei adam, where's negei adam? In other words, where would the machlokes be between the zaken mamre and the bezin hagadol that could possibly lead to a chiyuv of kares? Again, what we want to do is work out the memra that we just posted over here, like the sheet of Reb Meir, that the zaken mamre has to go ahead on and be in a chiyuv kares. So negei adam beplukta Rabbi Yeshua the Rabbanan. Regarding the machlokes between Rabbi Yeshua and the Rabbanan, the Mishnah. Now we know, guys, if a guy has a white patch on his skin and he has 2 hairs in it, then he is a Mitzayra. But it depends. Did the hairs come before the white spot, or the white spot came before the hairs? So now, if the white spot came before the Seir, Seir love on the white hairs, Tameh. Im Seir love on Kodem, if the Seir love came before the white spot, then it would be Tahar. Suffix, then it's suffix, you don't know what was first, Tameh. Maybe Shua, I'm a Keya. If Shua says if it gets dimmer, my Keya, I'm a Rava Keya Tahar. The Keya is Tahar. So again, possibly if he passes like one man the Omar, who says it's Tahar, and Bemis it's Tameh, can lead to a Chiyav Kares. So this would be an example of the Zakein Mamre arguing with the Chacham that lead to a Chiyav Kares. Guys, we're good? Again, I'm not giving you every case. I'm giving you the general idea. The next case would be Nigei Batim. Beplukta the Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Shimon. Now remember, if you walk into a house a house that has, as Kenny would say, a kretz in it, you'd have to go, right? You'd have to go ahead, and you'd be tamei, and you'd have to go you would not be able to go into Beis Hamikdash. So what's the machlokes that possibly could be between the Zakein Mamre and the Chachamim regarding Nigei Batim? Titnan, Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Shimon, Lo'ilam Eina Bayis Tamei. We had this earlier. This is one of the cases. Remember, it said there was never a paraduma. No, excuse me, there was never an Irani Dachas. There never was a Ben Soromora, and there never was what a house that had a nega in it, right? Because of this opinion. That's where you might remember this from. Anybody is telling me at Shiyura Kishnei Grisim, you need to see 2 spots the size of a gris. Al Shnei Avodim on 2 stones. B'Shnei Ksolim on 2 walls. Became Zavius in a corner. Archu, the length has to be Kishnei Grisim, the Rachbei Kigris, and the Rachbei 1 gris. My time it has to be in 2 walls. Reb Shimon. Ksiv Kier, Ksiv Kirais. Eza Kirshu Kirais. What's a wall that is like what? Like walls? Haviyam is a Keren Zavius, it's a corner. Okay, so what happens? And the Chacham disagree. So let's say you're in this house, he passes like Rabbi Elazar, not like the Rabbanon. The Rabbanon hold your tamei. He holds your tahar. Why? Because, and then you walk in the Beis Hamikdash. There's your Chiyav Kares. That's the Zakein Mamre blowing it. Another case, Nigei Begadim. What's the case of Nigei Batim? The plukta the Rebbe Nasan ben Av Tulnis Rabbanon. The Tanya Reb Nasan ben Av Tulnis Omer Amar Aleph Minayin leprichas begadim shehi tahirim. Now, let's say the beged, the whole beged had tzras on it. The whole beged. Now, there's a halacha, fellas. If a person has a karachas, if his whole body is covered with tzras, he's tahar. Peladik thing. A little spot, he's tamei. Whole body, lima, gzeres akasav, he's tahar. What happens if the whole beged is covered? Do we learn from body or not? If you learn from body, then it's tahar. If you don't learn from body, it's tamei. So now, Nemra karachas begabachas ba'adam. It says those two types of tsuras by Adam. V'nemra karachas begabas bebegadim. Malahalam by Adam porach bekula. If it spreads over the whole Adam, if it spreads over the whole Adam, tahar afkan. So too by the beged porach bekula tahar. If it spreads over the whole thing, what? It would be what? It would be tahar. Okay, so now let's say he paskins like the he paskins not like Nasin ben Avtolnis, who says it's tahar. He paskins like the Chachamim. No, he paskins like Nasin, and he thinks it's tahar. But really, the halach is like the Chachamim, that it's tamei. You're gonna lead to a chiyuv kares because the person's gonna go into the Beis Hamikdash. Again, the same thing. If Loit Reb Meir, that is Zakei Mamre, has to paskin on something in the Chiyuv Kares, according to the memra we're trying to fit it into, where do you find it? I just gave you the three cases by what? By Negoyim. So this is in our chart, in the fill-in on the chart. So now we're filling in the Negei Begotim, filling this in. Now we have to fill this in. Now again, I'm reiterating. What happens over here, guys, if this is Hegdish, if it's Hegdish, you're keeping Mekadosh Nisha with it. If you Mekadosh Nisha with it, and you think that what, and he paskins you're not good kedushin, he paskins like this that it's not good kedushin, but the Chacham holds it is good kedushin, right? Because it's not hegdish in the first place. Then another person's Mekadosh is going to live with her. It's a chiyuv kares, yeah, chenek, but a chiyuv kares also. So, Devarei elu erchin charamim v'egdeishos. Ha'erchin, what's the case of erchin that could lead to a zakei mamrei? With the money being misconstrued and used, you think it's a good kedushin and it's not, and therefore it's going to lead to a chiyuv of kares, because an other man's going to be mekadosh and eishes ish and be with an eishes ish, right? But look to the Ramei of Rabbana that nan. Now, erchin, guys, is based upon a certain year. Whatever your year are, your gender and your year, you fit into a certain line, right? A certain window, and you're going to pay that X amount of money. Less than 30 days is the machlokes. So here is the machlokes. Hamayrich, a person says erki olai. He goes to a baby that's less than 30 days old and says erki olai. Pachas ben chodesh. Remeya oimen noisen damav. Remeya says you give the value of what this baby would get on the slave market. So Remeya is of the opinion that ein moitzi adam dvarim levatala. Person's not going to open his mouth for nothing. So everyone knows that erchin is not less than 30 days. Why do you use the lashon of erchin? What did he mean? He meant damav. That's what he meant. The chachamim ma'amrim le'yamaklum et gezog garnish. He didn't say anything. Meaning, so therefore he's not chayiv anything. So if you go ahead, take that money. According to Remeya, he paskins like Remeya. That the money is hegdish, and really bemis it's not hegdish. And he goes. And they go ahead, and he's going to go ahead and use that money to Mekadosh and Isha, and you're going to think that the Isha wad is Mikudeshes, because he passes like the Chachamim, and really it's not Mikudeshes, it really is Mikudeshes. Therefore, if he passes at the Hegdish, he's going to think it's not good Kedushin, guys. If he passes like Reb Meir, then the Kedushin is not good Kedushin, because the money is Kodesh. But really, the halacha is like the Chachamim, that it was good Kedushin. So the next man that's with her, over Chiyuv Kares, that's the case. Now, again, each one is the same thing. In this category, each one, for the rest of the parak, the rest of this limud is all the mominist aspect. Now, and charamins, but looked at the Rabbi Yehuda ben Meseir Rabbanit Nan, Rabbi Yehuda Meseir Stam charamim lebedik abayis. If someone says this is chayrim, someone says there's a chayrim on this, where does it go to? Bedek abayis, or goes to the kohen? If it goes to the bedek abayis, it's kodesh. If it goes to the kohen, then it's choyel. If you're mekadosh an issue with it, you can have the same problem. Shneimar kolchem kodesh kodashim hu Hashem. It should be like the sod of a kohen, not like hegdish. If it's choil, why does it kodesh kodashim hu Hashem? So in other words, if you would say chayrim on a carbon, you have to bring its value. In other words, you can't. It's already kodesh. It's a shlamim. It's an oil. It's kodesh kodashim. If you say this is chayrim, then it's going to be what a din of it's chal, and the money would have kedusha. Again, you mekadosh nisha with it. That's the machlokes. According to he's going to say that it's not a good kedushin. It really is a good kedushin. There's your chiyuv kares. Am I going too fast? It's good. I think it's clear. It's clear. Each case is clear. Next, hegdeishos. What's the case of hegdeishos? We looked at the Rebbe Elazar ben Yaakov for Rabbanit. Now, Rebbe Elazar ben Yaakov Omer I feel it's sinor shel hegdish, even a tziner, which is a little thimble, a golden fork, a little tiny little thing. You need asar b'nei adam l'ftaisa. You need 10 people to evaluate to be paid it. Good. Let's say you don't have 10 people. So if you're passing that you don't need 10 people, you're good. If you're passing 10 people, so therefore you're gonna have a problem with the money. Is the money hegdish or not? Kaddish nisha, same problem. Rebois, the pasuk said rebois. Zu hashaka saita. Okay, this is a little more. Let's see the case of saita. Okay, v'arifa se'egla v'taris mitzayra hashka saita b'plukted Rebbe Elazar Rabbi Shua. That nan. Now we know a saita you need kinoi v'stira. You need warning that she shouldn't be behind closed door with a man, and stira you need aidim or aid that she's behind the doors with a closed man for X amount of time that she possibly can do an avera. So now the nan. Makna le'ishtoi, person warns his wife. Rebbe Eliezer says what? It's makna pishnayim. You need 2 aidim for the kinoi. Umashkal pi echad. And for her to drink, you only need 1 aid. That to say that she was behind closed doors. Oyal piatzmai. Rebbe Yeshua makna pishnayim umashkal pishnayim. Okay. Now what's the problem? Where is the problem over here? Let's see Rashi. This is a little more involved. Go to the right a little bit down. Umashkal pi echad. Shabava Amar. I saw she was behind closed door with the man that you said that the 2 Adam said she shouldn't be. And if she doesn't go ahead and drink, she'd be asa. These are the women that don't drink and don't get the ksuba. She says, I won't drink. Okay, you don't drink. Guess what? You don't get your ksuba. Where there's no Ede Stira, meaning there's only Ede Kinoi, and there's no Edem that she was behind closed doors. V'yomra Eini Shaisa, she says, I'm not going to drink. Rabbi Eliezer, Ein la ksuba, she wouldn't have a ksuba. Rabbi Yeshua, Yesh la ksuba, she would have a ksuba. She'ein neseres alav, because she's not asa, since there's no Edem on the Stira. So therefore she would have a ksuba. Then machra la'ach ksubasa, now let's say she goes ahead and sells the rights to ksuba to somebody else. Kana, it would work. Then toifus memoyna shel zeh kedei ksuba, so in other words, you have the same problem over there. That you're not tight. Guys, it's not a hegdish problem over here, it's gazela. If you steal, we're going with the Kuni opinion. If you steal money and use that money for kedushin, it doesn't work. If you steal money, it doesn't work. So, like Rabbi Yeshua, you're entitled to the ksuba, and therefore it will be a good kedushin. Like Rabbi Elazar, you're not. Let's say that the Zakim Mamri would pass like Rebbe Elazar, and it's not a good kedushin. But really, the halacha is like to be sure that it is a good kedushin. There's a chiv kares. So hashaka soitet, guys, it's a bit of this, guys. It's like, yeah, look at me. It's one of these. It's a reach. We want to know how's it shayich kares by a shaka soitet. What's the answer? Is if the machlokes in Elazar be sure whether she drinks or not. Because there's no edi stira says she wasn't want to drink. Says Rebbe Eliezer she loses the ksuba. Memela the right. If someone goes ahead, grabs that money, which he didn't have right to grab, and you mekadesh shanisha, then it won't be good kedushin. If you're passing like Rabbi Eliezer, if you're passing like Rabbi Yeshua, it is good kedushin. So let's say he passes like Rabbi Eliezer, there's a chiyuv kares. Okay, that's by hashaka saita. Back in the Gemara, egla rufa bit plukta the Rabbi Eliezer of Rabbi Akiva. Okay, nice, guys. Here's case egla rufa. We're going to go ahead and we're going to measure. We're going to measure the city that is closest. Now, where do you measure from? That's the source of the machlokes. Where's the chi of kares? If you're mekadesh an isha based upon one cheshbon of the other, if it has a din of egla rufa, you can't be mekadesh an isha with it. It's asa b'hana. If it doesn't have a din of egla rufa, you would be able to mekadesh an isha with it. So the nafkamina, that's the case of, again, the same monetary problem with the same result. Nan. Again, an egla rufa is you find a dead body between 2 cities. The one that's closest, you have to bring an egla rufa. We're going ahead to ascertain which city is the closest, right? Where do you go ahead and measure from? Right? It's a good question. Where do you measure from? Where do you measure from? Rabbi Eliezer, you measure what? From his from his belly button. Rabbi Akiva, from his what? Nostrils. Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, from a place where a person usually becomes a corpse, right? From his neck. Okay, now, let's say that you measured this from one, he paskin, you measure from one place, and really you measure from the other place. So light him, you're going to say it's an egla rufa. But really, it's not an egla rufa. Why? Because that city wasn't mechuyev to bring it. The other city is mechuyev to bring it. And you take the egla rufa and you mekadesh nisha with it, you're going to have that problem. Yes.
You ever make such a difference? The nose, the middle. It ever happened like that?
Again, I'm not privy to exactly what happened. But again, the question is, where do you measure from? Let's say you would have a city and Takumi and Nafkamina. And it's halacha, we always have these Nafkaminas. As remote as you might think. Like
Right.
you might think it's so remote, but you know what? Who knows? Hiris Mitzaira. Okay, it looked at Reb Shimon Rabban, Nan. Ein loy bahen yad, boyen regel, oisin yamanis. Let's say, again, we know that Mitzaira, he goes ahead and he brings on his 8th day after he was cleansed outside the Machne. He brings the Karban Asham, brings the other Karbanis as well. But the Asham, he's going to stick his head in. He's going to stick his hand in, and he's going to the right hand and his right foot. He's going to have placed on that Tunuch Oizen right is going to be blood. On his thumb, his big thumb is going to be blood. And on his big toe is going to be blood. And then you're going to place on top of that Shemen. Good? Now, let's say the guy doesn't have a right ear, he doesn't have a right thumb, and he doesn't have a right foot. What do you do? It's okay? What do you do? Tanakama says this guy, he can't be tahar, meaning he's stuck. This guy is mechusik kipurim for the rest of his life. Okay? Rabbi Eliezer Aimer, noisonly al mekoymai. You put where he would have had his ear, where he would have had his thumb, where he would have had his toe. If Shimon Aimer, noison al shall smile, right? V'yaitza. You put it on his left, and you be yaitza. So guys, let's say according he paskins that what? He paskins like Reb Shimon. And really the halacha is like there's no takana, or when you put it on the right with a place, and the guy walks into the Beis HaMikdash, there's Yisakaris. Guys, it's the same thing, right? There's Yisakaris right there. Abisharecha, finally that's Zeleket Shichopeya, right? Leket Shichopeya, Leket Itnan, Shnei Shvalim, two bundles is Leket. Shleisha ain't a Leket. These are matnas aniyim. You have two a Leket, and 3 are not. Shikha, Shnei Oimrim, 2 bundles. Shikha, Shleisha ain't a Shikha. V'alkulim beishami Oimrim, Shleisha la'ani, v'arba l'balabayas. Okay? Peyo b'plukti Rabbi Shmuel Rabban, Nan, mitzvahs peyo lahafish min hakama, lahifish min hakama, yafish min ha'oimrim, lahifish min ha'oimrim, yafish min hakri. You go ahead and separate from the pile. Achlei mirchu, before it's piled up. Mirchu, Maisa v'naisin mishum Rabbi Shmuel Oimer, af mafish min ha'isa. Even you would go ahead and separate what from dough. You would separate from dough. So in all these cases, you have a problem of whether it's stolen money from the aniyim or not. In that case, you'd have the same problem of being mekadesh nisha, and you'd have the problem of perhaps saying it's a good kedushin or not a good kedushin. That would lead to a chiyuv of kares with the second husband. Okay, that's the end of the explaining that price. Okay, so we filled in this chart. Filled in this chart of the goyim of Charomim, Hegdish, Erchin, the Machloikis, each one born in Machloikis. There was only one case there wasn't a Machloikis. That was the case of Bita Menusasek. Look at the first place was on the last staff, guys. First place was on the last staff. The Kuloi, in all the cases, Mishkach Plukta, Bar Mehai, with the exception of Bita Menusasek. The Ein Zachi Mami Moida B'Gezer Shabasu. So therefore, where's the argument, guys? Where's the argument? And the answer is Heina Heima Zima Zima. Right? That was Bita Menusasek. That was the chart from Florida. Right? Heina Heina Zima Zima, and he's not moida to the Gezer Shava. The Mela is Geshmak, even though it's no machlokes there, the Zakin Mamre would argue in that, and therefore it would lead to a chiyuv of kares. Okay, the Mishnah said there were 3 batei dinim, fellas. There were 3 batei dinim. One was in the city, one was the Harabayas, and one was what in the Lishkes HaGazes. What would happen? He would go and argue with them, arguing the people in the city, what the halacha is. They would go up. They'd ask by the him and the Bezdin of the city would come up, they would go to the Bezdin on the Harabayas, the 23. They didn't come to a conclusion. They would then go to the Bezdin of by the Azara, and with that, failing that, they would go to the Lishkas Hagasis. Okay, failing that, they go to this is the discussion. Amrav Kahana, who Omer Pia Shmua. Now, it's exactly what is the machlokes? Exactly what is the machlokes between them? What are they arguing on? That you know what you're telling me they're arguing. What exactly are they arguing on that would lead to a Zakin Mamre? How do you create a Zakin Mamre? Okay, so now, who Omer, the Zakin Mamre says, Mi Pia Shmua. He said that he had a Messiah from his Rebbeim. And they also agree. In other words, each one has their own Messiah. Ein an erag. In that case, he's not going to be killed. Again, we're going to come to a conclusion in the end of the Gemara that he's going to get killed for anything, but we'll see. Until then. So in other words, if they're arguing, he has one Messiah, they have another Messiah, he's not killed. Hu oimer kachu be'enai. He says, this is what I think. This is what right. This is what we think. Ein an erag. The koshkein hu oimer pia shmua. And certainly, if he says mi pia shmua, v'hein oimrim kachu be'inenu ein an erag. You know, he has this having a Messiah is a greater resource for himself than what he thinks. So certainly, guys, he says Messiah, they say Messiah, he doesn't get killed. He says what I think, they say what I think, he doesn't get killed. If he says I have a Messiah and they say we think, certainly he doesn't get killed. He's saying I have a shmua, you know, he certainly doesn't get killed. At Shiyomer, when does he get killed? Kachu be'enai. He says, this is what I think. And they say, no, this is what you think, but we have a shmua. And he agrees with that. Why? They didn't kill a kavya b'mahalal. So what's the story? Let's see Rashi. Rashi tells us the story about a kavya. 4 lines up from the bottom. A kavya b'mahalal. Nechlak ala chachamim b'lishkas hagazis. B'dalad devarim Masech Idias. In the 5th parak, in the 6th Mishnah Masech Idias, we find that a kavya disagreed with the Bezdin Hagadol. Shahaya Omer lebenoi b'shas misasai. He told his children at the time of his death, Chayze b'cha b'dalad devarim. He has charata on the 4 things. Shayisi Omer, that he said, Amar loy, Abba, the atam if they malay chazarta behem. Why did you have charata? Right, Amaloi, ani shemati mipi hamerubim, behem shamu mipi hamerubim. Heim omdu b'shmois oisam, v'ani amarti b'shmois. In other words, guys, this is going back on. They had their Messiah, and I have my Messiah. It's going back on the original one. Icham got my Messiah. They had their Messiah. Okay, and therefore I didn't go it. Aval ata shemata mipi hayachid. Now he says, I heard. So mipi hayachid. And therefore, what he went ahead and he changed his mind. So therefore, the same thing over here that if they're arguing in a shmua in a Messiah, you're not going to go ahead and kill them. Tanan, Mishnah says, Kach de Rashti v'kach darshu chaverai. The guy says, this is what I darshan, this is my chaverim darshan. Kach lamarati, this is what I taught. Kach limdu chaverai, that's what my chaverim taught. My love, the who Omar Pia Shmua, the Hein Oimrim Kaku Beinenu. In other words, so you see that even when he says Mipi Shmua and they say Beinenu, still gets killed. And that's what he said, Kolshkin, he shouldn't get killed because he's saying he had a Messiah. He says, Malai, who Oimrim Kaku Beinai, the Hein Oimrim Kaku Bishmua. In other words, he's getting killed. You know why? The opposite. He said, this is what I think. And they had a Messiah. And that's why what? So that's Rabbi Tashma. Right? Zirim, who was one of the elders of Yerushalayim, he told me 3 things. Baal shemoichel al kinuyav machal. A husband that gave kinu to his wife, not to be behind closed doors on the base, right? This is mechila, good mechila, she's not going to drink. Ben sora umorer, sheratzu aviv, ve'imoy limcholoi. After he had Malchus, and after they brought him in, and after the whole sin done, if they're Michael, they're not going to kill him. Zakin Mami Shiratsu Beis Dino Limchaloi, and the Zakin Mami that the Bezdin Agadol wants to be Michael. That's what Ziri said. And when I came to my Chaverim in the Darim, Al Shnaim Hoidali, 2 they were moided to me. Which 2? Right, the first 2. But they were moided by the father of Ben Sora Mora, and they were moided by the woman. But they weren't moided by what? By Zakim Mamre. Al Zakim Mamre Le Hoidali. They weren't moided. Why? Kadesh Le Yirbu Machlokes B'Yisrael. That there should be what? There should not be what? An increase in Machlokes by Yisrael. Okay? So now, this l'chayr is a shaila. Rav Kahana. Rav Kahana said what? Rav Kahana said, well, the only case you're going to kill him is when, he says, this is what I think, and they say mi pia shmua. Now, fellas, if you're worried about machlokes b'Yisrael, it should be irrelevant why they're arguing, right? Shmua. What difference does it make? You're creating machlokes. So l'chayr, this is a tiyufta the Rav Kahana. So says the Gemara, tiyufta. Look at Rashi, tiyufta. Midetoli time of b'shaloy yarbu machlokes. When they make the whole Gemara, the whole parsha of Zakim Mamre, dependent upon what? Whether you're increasing machlokes b'Yisrael, shmamina afilu oimer piyashmua. Even he said, I have a Messiah. In other words, the other extreme. He says, I have a shmua. And they say, this is what we think. Nonetheless, he's going to get killed. Why? Because machlokes b'Yisrael. How are we doing, guys? Good? Tanya. Rabbi Yossi. Says Rabbi Yossi. Mitchila loyhayu marbe machlokes b'Yisrael. Initially, they weren't marbe machlokes b'Yisrael. El bezn shel shivim v'yachad yoshim b'lishkas hagazis. Ushnei batei dinim shel esrim v'shalois, and there would be 23. Echad yoshev al Pesach harabayis. That was the one that sat in the opening of the harabayis. The echad yoshev al Pesach hazara, and one stood by the opening of the hazara. Ushar batei dinim shel esrim v'shloisha yoshim b'chol yorosh Yisrael. And you had what? In Klal Yisrael, you had 23. So in other words, every city had 23. You had 23 in the Harabayas, you had 23 in the Azara, and you had 71 in the Lishkas Hagaz, in the Gazis. That was the setup. Now, Putzur Chadav Lishol, you had a kasha. Shoylim Bezdin Shabiran, person would go to his city. Im Shamu, if they had a teretz, they had psak. Amrulahen, they would tell the person. Im Lav, Boyim Lezesh Samach Leiran. They would go to a city next to them. It has a city where 23. Im Shamu, if that city heard, Amru, they would say Amrulahem. Im Lav, Boyim Lezesh Al Pesach Harabayas. They would come up to the Pesach Harabayas. Im Shamu, if that Amrulahem. Vim Lav, Boyim Lezesh Al Pesach Hazara. V'omer kach darashti, v'kach darshu chaverai, kach lamadati, v'kach lamdu chaverai. This I darshan, this I taught. Again, the same dialogue. Im shamu amulahem. Vim lav, elu ve'elu boin l'lishkas hagazis. Then you had the one that you had the bezdin of the ear, the bezdin of the Pesach Habayis, and the Harabayis and Azara. They would come. Shasham yoshvim mitamid shel shacher at tamid shel ben abayim. They would sit there from Mamish to the Tom. This guy's Supreme Court didn't. It was a hard job. You had to be there the whole day from the time. Well, actually, the afternoon. Until they would be there. Who was Shabbos of Yom Tov? From what Shabbos and Yom Tov, we're not allowed to paskin. Yoshvim b'cheil. They would sit in the cheil. The cheil was an area between the sroig and the walls of the Beis Hamikdash. Rashi says, why would they sit in the cheil? Rashi would say, look, the first in line. Nesha Amrav, because a lot of people there on Shabbos and Yontif, Umakam Tsar Lehem Belishka, and it was very tight. Inami or else Shlechoya Nirim Ki Yoshvim Bedin, Shebalishka Sagos is Hayu, Danim Vizeika. In other words, since they would go ahead and judge, right? Don't think he was not supposed to judge on Shabbos, so they wouldn't sit there in the Makam where they would judge. But this is a place where you ask a Shilas. There's not a din. It's not a din where guys. It's not a case where you bring litigants and tinus, and it's not a din. I'll do it on Shabbos. But again, you had questions, so therefore they would sit in this area. It's advice for just explaining things. Nishala she'ela b'fneihem im shamru am lehem v'mlav oimdim leminyan rabu amatamim tamei rabu amatarin tiroi misha rabu tamidei Shammai v'Hillel shleishim shukol sarchan right? Since they weren't mishabish their rabbanim correctly, they didn't get the Messiah down correctly. Rabu machlokes b'Yisrael. That's began machlokes. V'nasis Torah k'shtei Torahs, and Torah became like two Torahs. Mishon kaisvim v'sholchem v'chol mekaymes. They sent out kol mishu chacham v'shachal berach. Anyone who's a chacham, be shval berach is humble. V'das habriyas noichi menu, and the das of the brias, they're happy with him. In other words, this person who's a chacham, he's an onav, so it won't get to him. And people who are happy with him, memela, they're going to listen to his psak. So therefore, you need these three qualities. So it says the Ben Yehoyada. Yedayin be'ira, he should be a judge in the city. Mishom ma'ilum esay laharabayas, and like we do in the Supreme Court, right, guys? They take from the adjunct courts, they go ahead and they work their way up. The same thing over here. You begin in your city, and you would work your way up. First, where's the first place you'd work up to? Ma'ilum esay laharabayas. Mishom la azara, and next you get to be on the Beis Din the azara. Mishom l'shkas gazas, and eventually you get to the l'shkas gazas. So it's a very interesting. Probably, I would think probably that the Supreme Court got it from the Gemara that they work your way up, right? Sholchem itam. We had this guy. Remember Sholchem itam? I'll remind you. If you don't have an art school, you're Zayin on the base. Right? You're Zayin on the base. It's a very geschmack because it says all the acronyms for different people. So, Amroid and Ardoy is Rav Chamar, and the Dayane of Karn and Shmuel, Dayane of Pumpadisa, and the Dayane Goyla, Dayane Pumpadisa of Papa Shmuel. You have all a bunch of things over here. Sholchem itam, they say it was Rabbi Yossi Reb Chanina, and other people say it was Rebbe Laza. It was Rebbe Laza. The question is, right? The question is, was it Rabbi Yossi or Rebbe Laza? So Sholchem itam, they send from there. It's either Rebbe Laza or Rabbi Yossi Chanina. Rabbi Yossi. Okay, says the Gemara. Ezeu ben Olam Haba. Who's a ben Olam Haba? Right? Who is somebody who's going to be zeicha to the next world? Right? Is anvos on ushval berach. Someone who is humble. He's humble and he's an onav. Shayef alei, shayef nafik. He comes in, he nods his head, he goes out, he nods his head. Vigoris baraisa tadira. He learns all the time. Like machzik tuvas l'nafshe. He doesn't think he's doing any chashuv thing for himself. Yovu be'rabbanin einayhu b'Rav Ula bar Abba. You know what people went? They went ahead and they looked to Rav Ula bar Abba. That must be the guy. They're talking about he had those qualities. Okay, we said he went back to his city. If he taught what he originally thought, guys, if he taught what he originally thought, then you don't kill him. If he paskins like he originally thought, then you do kill him. Okay? If he paskins like he originally thought, then you do kill him. So the Gemara has a Gavaldic Kasha. He goes back to his city and he repeats what he in the first place. Tan Rabbanan. He's not chayiv chenek until he acts upon his psak, or he tells other people to do it according to his psak. Right? Therefore, you need a zak and mamre. I understand, because he went for hayra, he's arguing on hayra, and he's passing it down. But 1 second. But himself, may koralav bar katalahu. Initially, before he ruled for this guy, he wasn't a bar katala. V'hashta bar katalahu, and now by ruling for this other guy, he's a bar katala. Elashiyasu kairasai, but the case where he himself did it according to his hayra, may korinami bar katalahu. Even before he went up to Sanhedrin, right? He paskined bitum min asasei's mutter. Why did you need him to go up to Yerushalayim to go ahead and hear from them that bitum min asasei's chorus, come back down and paskin it? It was a chiyuv chorus even before we went up there. In other words, the Etzem Psak himself, what he said is mechayivim. It's a gavaldik kasha. The only reason he's chayiv chenek is because he went up to Yerushalayim. He paskined incorrectly. You didn't. And the Zakei Mamre, the guy's pshat is he is being killed because he's a Zakei that Mamre is rebelling. If he, vis-a-vis himself, paskins for himself an erroneous psak, he should die. Nothing to do with Mamre. The fact is, the halacha is not like that. Says the Gemara, Ella, what must be what? So, very good. if guys, it's a question of chaylev v'dam. The mikor la bar katalahu, because the mikor la bar katalahu. Initially, he wasn't a bar katala, but hashta bar katalahu. What? But by dam, by chaylev and dam, it seems that what that meikora before he went to Bezdin to ask, it was. I think it means like this. Since that dam and chaylev is in Issachar, so he wasn't a bar katala, meaning Bezdin couldn't kill him. That's what it means. For dam and chaylev, guys, is Issachar. So memela, how can you give him chenek? It must be mitayr zakin mamre. Zakin mamre, you're killing him. If he would eat dam and chaylev, you can't kill the guy. Hashem kills the guy. So I understand. In other words, guys, the way we're killing him only because he is a zaken that's being mamre. So the Gemara, Fred Gemara Kasha, if it's Misas Bezdin, why you're not killing him because he's a zaken mamre? You're killing us because you chayiv Misa for that aveira. So why do you need to be a zaken mamre to die? So it says the Gemara Geshmak, Bishleim if it's chaylev, Bishleim it's dam, where you can kill him, Hashem will kill him. Therefore, he goes in, they paskin that it's chaylev. He says it's not. He eats it. Now you're going from chorus to chenek. You're only killing me because I'm a zaken mamre. But my case of bitam on Sasai, he was chayiv seifer before. He's chayiv seifer afterwards, right? So in other words, where's the zaken mamre coming in here, guys? You hear the kasha? It's a gavaldige kasha. Gavaldige kasha. So hatena chayka the oyer b'chaylev v'damish l'chiyav karis. The may kara la bar katalahu v'hashda bar katalahu. Now that he's a bar katalah, because you said what? Because he's rebelling against you. Elahecha the oyer b'chayve Mrs. Bezdin may kara nami bar katalahu. Beat that. I'm giving beat them as a great case, guys. Beat them in a sauce like this. The halacha is if you have a daughter out of wedlock, you honest a woman, that girl is asa to you like your own daughter. And he's with her. You don't need a zaken mamre to kill him, give him chenek. He's going to die because he was over in the Raisa. And for the Gemara, meikari boy hasra. You know what? You know why he's getting died? Zaken mamre, because beat him in the sauce. He didn't have asra. So since he didn't have asra, he's not getting killed. So therefore, the only way he's killed is getting killed. Machmas zaken mamre. For the Gemara, hashta loy boy asra. Now, right? You're telling me he doesn't need asra? No, that's the teretz. Meikara by asra, hashloi by asra. Zaken mami doesn't need asra. So that's what you gain. He's dying machmas the fact that you don't need asra. Fred the Gemara, mesis loy by asra ma'ikol meimar. Let's say he's a mesis. Mesis doesn't need asra. So what are you going to say? You're going to kill my zaken mamre because of you don't need asra. You didn't asra for that anyway. If he paskins a mesis is mutter, guys. If you paskins a mesis is mutter, you don't need asra for that. So he should be getting killed for being a masis, not because of zaken mamre. Again, the flow of the Gemara is geshmak. The whole reason he's dying is because of zaken mamre. Fred the Gemara, if it's a chiyuv Mrs. Bezdin, he's dying because it's a chiyuv Mrs. Bezdin, not because it's a zaken mamre. And for the Gemara, it's speaking about the chiyuv Mrs. Bezdin, there was no hasra, so we can't kill him. A guy's mechal Shabbos without Eidim gets chorus. Okay? In that case, if he goes in zaken mamre, he doesn't need hasra to be killed. Fred the Gemara, okay, so you're telling me a zaken mamre gets killed by asra. What about mesis? He paskins a mesis is mutter. He goes ahead, he tells people to be over avodah zara. Good. Does he need asra? No. Why are you killing him? As there is a mesis, not because zaken mamre, right? He's a mesis. Zaken mamre. As I read the Gemara, mesis leiboy asra ma'ikol meim. What are you going to say? And for the Gemara, may kori taima, right? But initially, right, he could go ahead and say a svara to go ahead and get him off the hook. Mikabla minei, they would accept that svara. But hashti taima, now once he's pasking that he's a zaken mamre, loy mikablina minei. We're not going to go ahead and accept that. Says Rashi. Let's see Rashi here. Mesis the loyboy asra imhoyim mesis. If he was a mesis, umoira tam heter v'loymar ein beloshen hazeh hasasa. Meikara nami mikdal boy asra. You kill him. So it says the Gemara initially. I ama taima l'schusa la'oitzule aval hashti ama taima le'mikablinan sheri shoma mipi bezdin shlei lasleis the himra. In other words, if he had a time of what he's doing, guys, we will melamed schus. So, Fred Gemara Kasha, how could you go ahead and say he's getting killed as zaken mamre? Are you killing him because he's a mesis? And for the Gemara, a mesis, if he would have said a tam, they would have listened to it. Now as a Zakim Mamre, once he went up and came back and did what he said initially, we're not going to listen to it. We're not going to save him. And therefore he's going to kill our Zakim Mamre.